Okay, there we go. Howdy folks, KP again. This one's going to be a little different. This is going to be the Xana slash XPS to SFM thing people asked me about. And this time I'm just going to try to do it live and see what happens. It's also a lot easier to do it this way because this is probably going to be a relatively quick thing. Just because I have a good workflow down about it. Okay, so what you're going to need. You're going to need Blender, which you can see. I'll link everything in the description as I go, so you can look it up as you go. You'll need Blender. I'm in 2.7, which is right here. And you'll need the Xana import tool for this. So let's see, I already have it set up. Xana Mesh. I'll write up a thing on how to do it anyway. And today we're going to do this Arbok model that I found, which is pretty nice. It's all nice and cleaned up and whatnot, so there we go. Okay, so you just hit import Xana Mesh, and there she is. Now you'll notice how when it spawns, it's really, really tiny. That's something we'll fix as we go. Oh, excuse me. Alright, so here's our model. This is what she looks like. Now, if you just export her out as she is now, she's going to have all kinds of problems. So let's go ahead and start fixing things. Okay, first of all, we're going to hide our armature. You do that by clicking on your little eyeball over here. Click. Oh, hold on. Start screencast. There we go. Sorry, I thought that was turned on. That way you'll see me click. So you'll click this eyeball over here. And that hides things. That hides everything. Up it up. There you go. Alright, first thing you want to do with Xana models is you have a lot of... Xana models don't import properly sometimes. A lot of the time. So you have to go in and clean up the vertices. So to do that, the easiest way I do it is just click on your model part over here. You'll hit Tab. That takes you into edit mode. That'll make sure your model looks like this. You want to make sure your whole thing is highlighted. If not, just you hit A, and A selects all. You want it to look like that. Then you'll go over here on the left side in your toolbars, and you'll see remove doubles. Just click that, and you should see removed such and such number of vertices, usually a lot, sometimes a little. You want just basically do that until it says 0. Alright, so then just hit Tab and go back into object mode. You can tell down here by this little bit right here. Alright, then you just basically do that for each part. So the tongue, make sure it's all selected, remove doubles. When you go into edit mode, it should select the whole thing by default, but it doesn't hurt to just double click A and click it yourself. Alright, and then remove doubles. Remove again. There we go. It's usually pretty good after one go, but you want to check everything before you do your final export to be sure. And then the eyes. Remove doubles. No, not on the eyes. Good. And the head. Select all. Remove doubles. Boom. The mouth. Select all, remove doubles. There we go. Then if we go back and click on each one, remove. Nope, yeah, we look like we're pretty clear on this one. Good. Head, remove, mouth inner, remove again. There we go. We're all set up on that. So good. Well, that's one of the harder parts done. No, not really. There's a lot more hard parts coming along. Alright, now, we could leave it all separated out like this in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different chunks. But we want to do that because that's going to make putting the model into the SFM a bit more difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick the body. And now to select everything on here, you left click on here, you right click to select things in your 3D viewer like this. The default is right click to select. Over here in your drop down, I forget what it's called exactly, you left click to select things. That's one of the weird things about Blender. And to move the camera around and hold down middle mouse, all that stuff. I'm not amazingly familiar with Blender. So, you know, if you see something weird, you can look up Blender basic controls. There's a very extensive wiki about Blender, which is really nice about it. Okay, so we want to merge our model into like basically one large piece so we can work with it later, easier later on. So we want to click on, let's see, so we want our body parts. Our body parts here are all like that. So let's see here. So we'll just click them all. You just click it, hold shift, and I click them all. Then you'll hit join over here on the side. And there we go. We have it as one solid body part. Now, once you do that, you want to hit tab and go into edit mode. Make sure you have your whole thing selected like that. See, now it's the one solid body part. And you want to remove doubles again. And again, and 0. Hooray. Alright, now we're just going to go ahead and clean this up. Now, here's the other thing you got to be careful about. Your materials here. Your materials here is what is going to export and is what SFM is going to look for when it loads the textures onto the model when you do your VMTs and your VTFs, which we'll do in a little while. Because these body parts all use the same thing. See how this one's body and this one's body 01, this one's body 02. We can go ahead and get rid of these ones because it's all using the same material now. So you just click on the material you want, which is this one. You'll click down here on this little globe right here. That's your material section. And click it. And then just come over here and hit the minus sign. And boom, it's gone. And we'll go ahead and get rid of material 4. And minus sign. And it's gone. Now, you want to name your material something that you're going to easily remember. Like this is just material.05. You're not going to remember which part is material.05 when you're compiling it and putting it all together. So you just double click on it, and we're going to call this part body. And there we go. And then when you're building your VMT, it'll basically say looking for body.vmt, and that's all you'll have to do. And we're going to go ahead and rename this part body as well, just to keep everything nice and organized. Now, we could just leave the body and merge the head all together. Well, actually, I'll tell you what, here, let's do that. Let's figure out the head. We know our head is this material right here, so head. And name that the head. There we go. And we have our mouth inner here, so we have mouth inner and mouth inner. There we go. We have our tongue, which also uses the tongue texture, but we're just going to call it tongue just to keep everything nice and hopefully organized. Alright, and then we have our eyes. Our eyes, we're not going to worry about. Well, in our eyes, we just do the same thing. Eyes and eyes. There we go. Now everything is good and named and looking good. Oh, now this particular model has a body group. She has like latex leggings and armlings and neck pants, so we're going to call that latex and latex. There we go. Okay, we're actually going to go ahead and hide that latex part for now because it's not important. Okay, and we can see our model. This is what she looks like right now. Alright, now, just to, again, make things a bit easier for working in Source FilmMaker when we compile and everything, we're just going to merge everything. So we're going to want the body, we want the eyes, we want the head, we want the inner mouth, and we want the tongue. Basically, any part of our body that is always going to be there. Like the latex is clothing, which we can hide, and which we'll choose to hide or not hide or whatever. That's a body group. Leave that separate. Basically, any clothing or things like hair that you may not want to be on your model and whatnot. Okay, so we pick our parts. Everything's highlighted in orange here. We hit join. And then we hit tab to go into edit mode. We select everything, remove doubles, and there we go, 0 vertices. And now we'll just go ahead and correct our name here. There we go. See, now we have our model name. This is what it will compile out your SMD file into, which is what you'll need when compiling out. Blah, blah, blah. This is what your export SMD will be called, and you need that name for compiling. So, that's it. Okay. If you have textures here that have, like this is mouth 001, that's fine. That's a Blender thing. Source FilmMaker doesn't really care about that. It'll care about it when you make your VMT files for later. But it's a good idea to just kind of leave them how they are so you know like what it uses. Like so when we go to find the body. It's just a matter of looking at our textures and going, oh, that's the body, or oh, that's the head. All right, now we're going to go ahead and untie our latex. Okay, so now, if we do this, right now, she's really, really tiny, which is the other big problem you have with a lot of Xana models, is that they're really tiny compared to Source Filmmaker models. Like here, let's see here. Let's import SMD. I'll just import FemChip here because I have her. Wait on the import. Ah, there we go. Yeah, look at, here's Arbok, and there's FemChip. That's a pretty big difference. But an easily fixable one. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick our Arbok, and we're going to pick our latex and make sure, you know, because those are both parts of our model. And we're going to hit S for scaling, and we're going to type in 30. Okay, that's not too bad. That made her bigger. Let's see here. So we need to make her a little bit bigger. So you just keep them selected. If you don't do anything, it'll keep them selected. Just hit your S key again, and you can slide your mouse up a little bit and make her just a bit taller. She's supposed to be a little tall, so we'll make her a little bit taller in FemChip. There we go. Like I said, I usually try to line up basically the core features. Her feet are a little higher up, so probably actually shrink her down just a scotch bit. There we go. She's a pretty good size. All right, good. Now we'll just go and leave FemChip out of there because we don't need her. Now, if you try to import this, you're going to have a problem. Your bones are going to be all messed up because your armature's down here, and it's really tiny still. Okay. Okay, now let's see here. We got that. Now we need to know what to scale our armature up to get it to a right size. So we're going to click on our Arbok here. You're going to hit this little plus symbol up here to bring up your properties. And you're going to look at your scale. Our scale is 34.192. So we're just going to go ahead and round that down to 34. That'll make her a wee bit shorter, but it's a fraction of a point. So it's not going to be too big of a deal. So then we got to do it for the latex model too. 34, 34, 34. All right, there we go. I may be moving a little fast here. I'll probably end up slowing the video down or something just to see. But the point is to be kind of quick and to the point. So here we go. All right. Let's see here. Now, our scale is up by 34, so we're going to pick our armature. We're going to hit Tab to go into edit mode. You're going to hit Control A, make sure everything is selected. Let's just zoom in a little bit here to make sure it all is. There we go. Yep. And then you're just going to hit S, and you're going to hit 3-4. And that way, our skeleton is the same size. Now the other key point is here, you got to make sure it lines up right. So if you hit 1 on your number pad, you'll go into, I forget what this view is called, orthological view? Something like that, I forget exactly. I used to know. And basically you just want to line up your skeleton. Like, see, in the front she looks fine, but if you hit 3 on the side, see it's kind of back a little bit, so you want to pull it up just a scotch like this. And if you hit 7, you'll go in top-down view. And then you just kind of want to line it up the best you can here. And like I said, just zoom in, zoom out, like I said, get her lined up the best you can. Alright, that looks pretty good. Face bones are they're a bit of the important part. You want to make sure those are lined up the best you can, because those are what you're going to be using to give her emotions and expressions and whatnot. Alright, and to make sure we didn't screw it up now, we can click the little plus on our armature and hit pose mode over here. It makes all your bones highlight blue. So now let's pick one. Here's her arm. So just hit it, and if you hit R for rotate, that should move her arm like it moves her arm. That seems to be moving her arm. Now, you get a little tearing right here. That's because the weights aren't perfect, but that's a little beyond what I can tell you right now. This is just, again, all quick and dirty, so you can get a model that you want to see in Source Filmmaker. Oh, there we go. Let's see here. Let's check her tail. waggle, 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 waggle. That seems to be working. Okay, now what you want to do, now the important thing you want to do is to grab the root bone here, because a lot of Xana models have root bones. The root bone or the root hips, and you just kind of want to pull it to the side. If you pull it to the side like this, and you don't have anything sticking out or any like really jagged pointy edges, that means you're in pretty good shape. You shouldn't have any major issues. Okie doke, let's see here. We got her lined up, we got our bones lined up and everything. We're not deleting any bones, and we can't give her face flexes because, again, this is all just supposed to be, this is just quick and dirty if you really want a model to use. That's why it's kind of probably a really good idea to have a model with face bones like this, so you can actually give her some expression. Props aren't a big deal because props don't really need face flexes because a box doesn't need to emote. Alright, now we're going to click here, go back out of our armature and into object mode. Alright, and that should be... oh, wait, no, here we go. That's what we need to do. Okay, we need to select everything. So Control A, you want to make sure your whole model and your bones are selected. You want to come down here to the object and hit Snap, and snap cursor to center. And then you want to go up here to the left with everything still highlighted. Set your origin to 3D cursor, and that'll set your origin point down here to the middle. That's this, it's kind of hard to see, that's this little dot right here. Whoop, I think I just undid my thing. Hold on, snap, cursor to center, set origin, 3D cursor, there we go. If your origin points aren't the same for your armature and your mesh, then your skeleton will most likely wind up like halfway down your mesh when you compile, halfway down your model when you compile it, and it's going to be all screwed up and all weird. So you want to make sure that you do that. That's the big thing that kept happening to me. Okay, we got our origin point set. We got our mesh all cleaned up. Let's do it again just to be absolutely sure. Move doubles is clean. Move doubles is clean. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think she's about ready. So now we're going to go click on here. This is your export. This is your scene data. You want to scroll down a little bit, and you're going to want to export out to SMD. You need the source engine tools for Blender with this too. I'll link those as well, just because I'll link those and instructions on how to install them in the post, because it's easier just to read it, or I'll link you to where you can read the instructions too, probably. Alright, so we want to pick SMD, just because it's easier to work with. And let's see here, we want to put everything together. Here's my RBOC. I try to keep everything together, your mesh, your textures, and my SMDs, I try to all keep in one big folder just because it keeps everything easy to sort through. Alright, we got our selection, we got our SMD. Your target up axis is Z. Your engine path you could ignore. You can choose to import individual parts if you're working with, a lot of different clothing or anything like that. But if you're not, you just hit export and scene export for both of them. Oh, 2 warnings. Oh, okay. You get a warning that it has too many bones. That is a larger problem. That's not really a problem for Source Filmmaker, because Source Filmmaker can tolerate a large number of bones, I think in several hundreds. So if you get that, especially because that error was only 140, we only had 149, so that's not a big deal. Most of it is probably just unused bones in like the pelvis area here, which, you can try to clean them up, but if you do, you're going to probably mess up the mesh, and you're going to mess up your vertex groups, and your mesh is going to get all jaggedy and whatnot. And I mean, I'd advise you to learn how to clean it up if you want to, but, if you can get to the point where you can, I'd suggest you learn how to clean it up and whatnot afterwards, but, get to the point where you can comfortably do this pretty quick, and then go in, and then you can adjust everything later. Okay, so we exported, and we're good. Alright, so let's see here. So we want to go to where all my models are, which I just keep it in my Source Filmmaker directory just because they're for Source Filmmaker. It's easier. Okay, here we go. I'm going to sort by details, by type. Alright, here we go. We got our box and our latex SMD. There we go. Okay, now to get it to compile properly, you need to write a QC file. Which, let's see here, I am just going to grab a QC file that I've already done. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to grab the one for Birdo, actually, because they're a pair. I'll link the experimental the QC file I use here, so you can look at it and reference accordingly. Alright, we're just going to rename that to Arbok, and there we go. Let's see here then. Whoop. Shrink that down some. Now, the relatively basic QC file won't have eye posing or anything like that. It'll just basically have the model, and the model will load. Okay, so your first line here is your change directory. I have to do this for some models just because it's weird. I suggest putting it anyway just because it's a line. So you want to change to wherever it is. Mine is in my source filmmaker directory. This first line is wherever you have the model. Just click up here in your browser, copy, and paste it within the quotes. Boom. Done. Okay, now the second part here is your model name. So my model name is going to be Arbok. Model name, you want to sort the best you can, because this is going to be basically... For this, your folder is going to be... It presumes it's going to be models, and then these are all your subfolders. So if you go into user mod models, then you'd have to go into me, and then models, and then you'll find Arbok. You want to subdivide, you want to use subfolders and everything to kind of keep everything all organized. You don't need the model section if you don't. I usually just do whatever your username is, or whatever name you prefer, and then just / model.mdl. That'll be the easiest for you. Okay. And then your model tag here is just whatever your SMD name is, so that's Arbok. Again, this is why it's good to keep everything the same, because then you don't have to worry about messing too much up. Okay, and because we do body groups are relatively easy to do. This is a latex group, so let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, this one's actually wrong. Hold on. Blank. That's what you gotta do. There we go. Alright, so if you want the latex leggings and arms and the neckband to be separate, like a body group that you can turn off and on, you just set your first bit like this, the blank, that way it defaults off, and then set your second model part to whatever the latex SMD name is, which is just latex, and that's it. And make sure your brackets are kept like this, because that keeps everything... Well, you need brackets especially, because it'll freak out if you don't. Okay, you get mostly opaque. Make sure you always have that when compiling for Source Filmmaker, because that allows your model to basically work with the ambient occlusion, or the SSAO, in Source Filmmaker. Drink. Alright. Now your CD materials. Again, this works kind of like models names, and that way if you go into user mod, it defaults to user mod materials, and then here are all your subfolders. So I do user mod materials, and then I do models, me, models, Birdo. If you don't want to be that sophisticated, that's fine. You can just, again, make it your username. Actually, this should not be Birdo. This should be Arbok. Sorry. There we go. For yourself, I would recommend just, if you don't want to get too crazy with all this, is just make it CD materials, just make it whatever name you want, / whatever the model's name is. That'll keep everything nice and organized. And your last bit here, you can just copy and paste forever. This is your idle sequence, because you need at least one, and it's easy to just use the same one. So you can just use Arbok. This needs to be an idle SMD, but because it doesn't have any animations or anything, we can just use the same SMD, and she should work just fine. Okay. And you can comment in what materials and everything you're using, but if you're not going to release models publicly, don't worry about it, because you'll know what materials are what. Alright, then we're going to save that, close it out, and let's see here. Alright, so now we need to compile it. Here we go. Alright, now we need to compile it. I use, you can use the built-in Studio and the Studio model compiler built into SFM. That works just as well too. Again, I'll link a way to set that up for you because I don't use it just because I don't really like it too much. I use GUI just because I used it for before when I was first learning it all and it's easy for me. So to use that, you just grab your QC file here, drag it on top, run, and you'll get this pop up. Now, the thing you just want to do is, as the source filmmaker, compile it for the orange box. You don't really need anything special down here. And if we hit compile, it'll take its time and do a bunch of things. Alright, writing vertices, generating optimized mesh. Hey, there we go, completed. That's what you want to see. As long as you see that, you should be in pretty good shape. Okay, we'll go ahead and leave that. Now we're going to go ahead and click Source Filmmaker here. And you're going to start your SDC. Alright, let's drag this over here to the side. Now, with this open, you just want to click your model viewer here. Alright, and you'll bring up the model viewer. Let me just resize this a wee bit here just so it fits in the screen. Okay, then you want to do File, Steam Load Model, and then you just want to go to wherever it is your model file is. Which, like I said, wherever this location here is where your model file should be. So mine is in, so you'll go Models, KP, mine's in Models, and then our box should just be right there on the top, our box right there on the top. There we go. And voila, she's in Source Filmmaker. The model is anyway. She doesn't have any textures yet, but we'll fix that in just a couple minutes. Okay, now the first thing you want to check first thing you want to do is if you got this far, good, because you're where you need to be. Now, second thing you want to check is you want to click Bones down here under your Render tab. You want to hit Bones and make sure your bones are all sort of lined up relatively well here. Like you can see kind of like where her tail goes and where her legs go and everything. You want to make sure these are lined up because if you didn't set your origin point right, your bones will be who knows where. Your model could be, if your origin point isn't set up right, your model could be up here and your bones can start like all the way down here at her feet. Like her head bones would be down here at her feet. That means you didn't set your origin point right and go back and fix it in Blender, re-export, recompile, and then you should be fixed. Alright, but her bones all seem to be in good order, so that's nice. Face bones all seem to line up pretty well. Okay, now we need to do the textures. The textures can be a bit tricky, but not too bad. There's actually a nice little tool I found that will do a lot of the harder work for you. Let's see here again. I will link it because I'll have to re-find it. Crap, where the heck is it? Oh, there we go, VMT editor. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Alright, this is the thing we're going to use. I will relink where I found this at. Actually, there might be a link right here for it. Made by these people. I'll find the link. It's there somewhere. I'll find the link for online and post it in there. Okay. Now, first thing, we got that, so okay. Just wanted to show you that. We'll ignore that for right now. Now we need to set up our materials to make her work right. So let's see here. Now, these materials here, like this, these are just PNG files. These will not work. SFM and source games will not read these. You have to convert them over to what's called a VTF file, which is I think a Valve format texture, something like that. It's called a VTF. Alright, so let's see here. I do it this way. So we're going to open up another new window because there's lots of windows to be opened up. And let's see here. So you're going to have this in Source FilmMaker, obviously. So you want to go Game. Just drop everything you do like this into your user mod folder, or if you know how to make a new separate folder like this, you can drop it into that. But just stick with user mod, and you want to go Materials, and you want to match up to this name. You want to match this up exactly. If you don't, your materials won't load properly. So user mod, materials, models, me, models again, and we're going to make a new folder, because I don't have one, because this is a new model, called Arbok. There we go. Arbok. Sexy Arbok. Okay, and then, easiest thing to do is just, boop, copy those right there. And now we don't need to deal with that anymore for a little while. Okay, so now we want to look at go back to our model viewer. If you click on the model tab here, you'll see error, one or more VMTs cannot be found. Alright, yeah, and you just want to look down here on your list. See, we have eyes, mouth inner, body, tongue, head, and latex. Which is why in Blender, you want to name them like that so you can find them. Because if you don't, you're just going to see material, material.01, material.02, and it's going to be really hard to figure out what's what. Okay, so... Oh, too many windows. Alright, we're in Materials, Models, Me, Arbok. Okay, and we got that. Alright, so we just want to make sure everything is named properly. So, we got... Oh, that's eyeball, so we're just going to rename that to eyes, just to make things easy. We have eyes, we have mouth inner, and we're going to make a copy of that and call it tongue because they use the same material. Because if we look in Blender, you'll see that tongue uses mouth and mouth inner uses mouth. You don't have to, they can both, you can just use the same VTF for both, but I prefer to divide them up just because it keeps things, like I said, it's just easier to keep things organized together like that. Okay, so we have eyes, we have mouth inner, we have body, we have tongue, we have head, head, and we have latex. There we go. Hooray, we're set up right. Now is the point. You should go into your VMT editor. You can use this. You can also use a program called VTF Edit, but VTF Edit will only really convert one of these at a time, and it can be kind of slow. And I just use this for the sake of basically being a bit quicker. But this has a very neat function. You do tools and convert to VTF. So now, I think you can just drag and drop them. You cannot drag and drop them. Okay, I thought you could. You'll just do add, and we'll go into where our materials are. So we go materials, models, me, models, Arbok. Select all these, open, and everything here can basically just be defaulted as how it is. That should get you through it just fine. And hit convert. And then you'll see them pop up over here in your window. Oh yeah, VTF, valve texture file, not VFT. I don't know why I said that earlier. Sorry. It is a VTF file. Alright, and then you just basically let that go through and it'll be done. Now, this model's nice enough to have bump maps included. Like, here's your body. That's how that's all set up. And your bump map, or your / normal map, is like that. If you're in a model that doesn't have any bump maps like that, what you can do is you can basically just let's see here. Let's go ahead and delete these. Let's say for some reason it didn't have a body bump map, and you need bump maps for Source FilmMaker to work right. And that's all you have. So you can just copy your body, and here we'll just rename that to body bump, and then we'll just re-add it. And there's an option in here for normal map, and you can do convert to normal map. Now these you want to set up, I usually set it up at 9x9 like this, and you want to set your alpha channel to height, and then convert. There we go. And then if you look at your body, you'll have your body BTF, which is the color of her skin and all that whatnot. Then you'll have your body bump, which is converted to the bump map, and it's purple and has a bunch of bumps everywhere. That's why it's called a bump map. Actually, I don't know why it's called a bump map. Alright, and then like I said, just basically double check through these, make sure everything looks good. Like I said, your latex texture is like that because it's just one color. Make sure your mouth looks like a mouth. Tongue looks like a tongue. Head looks like a head. I have BTF edited, so that's why these are defaulting in that. Okie doke. Alright. And once you have your VTFs and everything set up, you can just delete out your old textures like this. Just delete them out of your materials. Keep them in your, with all your SMD and your QC files and everything, because you never know when you're going to go back and need them again. Just keep a backup of it before you delete it, because you do not want to have to redo everything because you accidentally deleted the wrong materials. Okay, now with VMT editor, can't talk today. Okay, so our game is source filmmaker. Our directory you want to be user mod, and you especially want to make sure you have vertex lit generic. That's what you need for source filmmaker. Then once that's all set up, you'll just hit parameters, and here you go with your basic QC. This does a lot of the hard part for you. That's why I like it so much. So your diffuse is your color texture. So browse, we want to go Arbok. Our diffuse is basically anything like that, and our bump map is the one called that. Our surface we can set to flesh because it's flesh. This SS bump I usually check just because it doesn't seem to hurt anything. And if you were to just save this QC file as it is, so save as, and then you want to make sure you have to save it in the same folder that you have all of your materials and everything, your VTFs and everything saved as. And you have to name it the same thing. So you name it body, and you'll see you have over here, it says body.vmt. If you click it, that's what it looks like. And then if you go into your model viewer, and you hit F5 to refresh your model, you see that she is colored. She has body textures. This model also particularly has that, and has some more detailed nethers, so that's good. Alright, and you see it changes right here too. So now you just basically got to repeat the process for everything else. But before we do that, you want to make sure now this base VMT will work okay, but you really want to give it a little more to make it try to get the best use out of the engine. So while using this, you can click Add. You want to hit Shading, and you want to hit Fong, and this brings up your Fong panel. Now, Fong you can change around. Fong is basically depending on how shiny you want to make your model. So let's see here. So let's leave it at exponent 5, and just leave it like that, and save it. And if we go into our model viewer, F5, you can see that she should be... she's supposed to be shiny. She's not being real shiny for some reason. Font color you can tweak, everything like that you can tweak. Let's see here. Let's just set the font boost up really high. And see. And... that's weird. Sorry, she should be... she's supposed to be really shiny. Yeah, she's supposed to be really shiny, but she's not shining for some reason. That's odd. Also, there's that clamp bit down there on the bottom. Well, Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and pause it and figure out what the hell happened. Okay, there we go. Sorry, folks. That was weird. Okay. Here's something you might get when doing this. If you look in Blender, you can look up top here and you'll see faces and trisses and tries. See how this is 63,562? That's kind of a lot for the source engine. Which, that is why you get this weird error. If you click down here, you get this clamped error. You get this clamped part of your model. That is what that means. That just means your model's a little too, high quality for source to really handle properly. You'd have to go in the Blender and basically decimate down the faces and everything. This will work now, so this will work in Source Filmmaker just fine. Because here, I actually brought up my engine, and here she is. She is in Source Filmmaker. Like I said, now doing it this way, they don't have any, face posing, eye posing. That's why it's imperative to have face bones like that. Anyway, when I paused, I finished up. I redid my QC and just took out that, here, I can show real quick. I thought that was it. I just took off the body group line. It's not really that important for this particular occasion. And I just went in and finished off my VMTs. You do them all the same way. That's the great thing about this. You can pick your settings and keep them, and then you just basically have to change the diffuse and the bump. Like, say, here's the body I did. If I refresh, here's my body settings. I can save them. And then you can just browse and do your head and your head bump and refresh and just make sure that this changes. And you can just do File, Save As, Head. And then that way your model has the same fong, and that way all your model has, the same consistency from part to part. And then you just continue down that till you have no more errors right here. You should see, if you bring up this drop down, you should see eyes, mouth inner, body, tongue, head. And then that'll do it for you. Next thing, again, this is just kind of quick and dirty to make it so if there's really a model you want to use, you can use it and go from there. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up then. Sorry, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I should talk about. There are various VMT edits you can do. I can tack this on to the end. Like, let's say, let me see here. Who do I have? I have... Here's my bowling ball girl I've been working on. See how she has a lot of shine right here from the light hitting her? That is the Fong settings, which you can just edit through, which if you go in here, let's see here, we're going to open, and we're going to go Models, KP, Models, bowling ball girl, there we go. That's her body, so just open the body VMT. And you can see I did some things here. I changed the tint and everything and upped the boost. If you up the boost a lot, like let's say we up it to 15 and save that, and then if we refresh, that should make her a lot shinier for some reason. Or for some reason the model viewer isn't showing all the Fong settings as it should. It's a bit of a bug with the, hold on, let me see here, take off reflection, file, save, turn that up there a little bit, file, save, there we go, that's what it was, the reflection was just acting up. Now, that's at 6.5, so if you turn it up to, let's say, 20.5, see, she is shining back a lot of light. and whatnot. But that's kind of ridiculous. You don't want it to be quite that high. 3-point high is actually 3.5 is actually kind of high on her. But yeah. Oh, that's because that's on my rim light, not my phone. Either way, sorry. Here you go. Let's see. If you turn the phone up to 20, I am just all over the place today, and I apologize if that confused anybody. Turn your phone up to 20, and let's see how she looks. There you go. She's reflecting a bit more light. Raw phone, you're gonna have a bit of a hard time seeing, but that's it. Basically, to make long story short and cease my rambling here, if you want to give a model a sort of kind of sweaty or shiny look, you adjust your Fong and your exponents and your boost. If you turn your boost up, that's just that's a multiplier. So if you put it by 2, it will, bounce back as much light. And your exponent, if you turn your exponent up way high, it reflects, I believe, more light per surface area, which basically makes it look less. Like if you have your Fong at like 1, hold on, let me see here real quick. See if I can find a model where this will actually work. Let me see here real quick. Where are you? There she is, FemShep. I use her for lots of things. Okay, here's my FemShep. Well, not mine, but the one I've done some work on. Let's see here. So we're just going to go into here and FemShep Nude Custom. Let's see here. She uses upper body female. There we go. Okay, upper body female. There we go. So you can see that her, well, her function should be at 1, and her exponent is at 3. So if we fix that, you'll see how she's super shiny like that? That's what happens when you have it like that. But if you take the Fong exponent and set it at, like, say 30, which is a fairly high number, you can see how she has a much more sort of subdued shiny effect, like perhaps she's a bit, I don't know, sweaty or, something along those lines, or slightly wet. You can't do a perfect kind of wet, shiny texture. But this will get you, this can get a moderately decent look. If you turn it up even higher, you can get an even more kind of effect like that. So if you put up to 50, there you go, see? You get a little bit better. It looks a lot better in Source Filmmaker if you have like actual lighting and whatnot, not the model viewer. So yeah, I believe that should wrap that up for now. Allow me to just double check everything and make sure I'm not forgetting any questions or anything anybody asked me at the end. Me. Alright. That's the port. That's VMT alterations to make things look shiny or wet.